Hello, my name is George Gatto, and this is the Success in Telling Your Story training. I developed this with two colleagues, Jane St. John and Josh Porter. We work at the UMKC Institute for Human Development. I also want to give special thanks to Spencer Hunley and Becca Horn, also from the Institute, who provided support as we developed this training. This training is a part of the Storytelling Initiative from the National Gateway on Self-Determination, a project funded by the Administration on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, a division of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Community Living. In this video, we will answer 4 questions. Why do we tell our stories? Who do we tell our stories to? What makes a story good? And how do other people tell their stories? The training is made up of 7 chapters. Each chapter has a worksheet that you will use to develop your story. At the end of each chapter, you should take some time and fill out the worksheet and talk with your group about what you would like to say. Self-determination is a personal characteristic or quality that enables people to choose and set goals, make choices about what happens in their lives, self-advocate, and work to achieve their goals. As a personal quality, self-determination can be developed and promoted. One way to do that is to learn to tell your personal story. In terms of self-determination, stories help us describe what we want to happen in our lives. They help us explain our choices and clarify our decisions. Personal stories are powerful. When told effectively, they can change individual lives and influence policy and procedures at the local, state, and even national levels. When they are told well, personal stories hold people's attention and trigger feelings or emotions. People tend to remember stories better than other forms of communication. As a result, stories have the potential to influence the way people think or feel about something. The take-home message from this training is that your story matters. It is important, and if it's told in the right way, it can change lives. It can empower you and others. And as I mentioned before, stories can bring out feelings and emotions, making people more willing to take the action you want them to take. Personal stories are also important because they can make a difference in people's lives, in systems, and in organizations. They help others learn about us and our everyday lives. So I want you to think about a few things as you start working on your own story. First, some of us have long stories, so think about it in terms of chapters or snapshots. Some stories can have several different versions, depending on your audience and what you are trying to accomplish with it. For example, you may tell the same story differently if you tell it to your friends versus telling it to your doctor. I would like you to consider different formats to tell your story, in person or on paper, for example, a written testimony, a letter, or even an email. You could do it on video or audio tape. These could be on the internet, on DVD, in audio files. There are many ways to share your story. And it's always good to have a 15 to 30 second elevator story. An elevator story is a short version of the story that is quick yet compelling. It gives the high points to stimulate interest in your story. One of the most important things to consider when you are developing your story is who you are going to be telling it to. For instance, your family and friends. Within your own family and friends, or to other families, to community members, support groups, or one-on-one mentoring. You also might talk to community organizations and service providers. These could be local service providers, regional offices, schools, parks and rec, medical or healthcare providers, and many other professionals. Lastly, policy and systems, like the state service systems. For example, the Department of Education, the Department of Mental Health. Really, you want to talk to decision makers like members of the school board, a city council, elected officials at local, state, and national levels. You'll want to tailor your story to the specific audience you will be talking to. So one of the first things to think about when developing your story is what you want to accomplish. You can use your story to help others, either emotionally, as support for their situation, or to pass on information. You can use it to improve your own situation, to get a job, talk with doctors and service providers, or get into college or other organizations. Or you may want to use your story to influence people and change systems and policies. This is one of the most important reasons to tell your story. I'm going to use the next few minutes to talk about each of these things. I will start with using your story to help others. Often, one of the most important outcomes of sharing your story is that it gives hope to others facing a challenging issue similar to your own. Your story can provide an example for others to follow if they want to accomplish the same things you accomplished. For example, maybe you were able to get your own home or find your dream job. Hearing how you were able to do these things may give others the courage to do it too, and it could show them the steps it took to get it done. Sometimes just knowing that there is someone else out there who has faced similar challenges to your own can make someone feel better. So your story may help others know that they are not alone. Also, as I mentioned before, hearing how you were able to accomplish your goals may give others the encouragement to work towards their own goal and how to get it done. Lastly, hearing you tell your own story can sometimes help others to talk about their own concerns or feelings. Sometimes it's hard for people to talk about the things that worry them or talk about their feelings. Hearing someone else do it can give others the courage to share, and oftentimes, once we get something off our chest, we feel a whole lot better. Now I want to talk about how telling our stories can help improve your own situation. First, you can use it to share your experience with all kinds of people: employers, teachers in training, service providers, case managers, doctors, or others who may provide a service to you. For example, if you need an accommodation at work, you could use a story to help your employer understand why the accommodation is important. Or you could use a personal story to help your case manager know more about you and your specific needs and desires. You can also use a personal story to educate employers, professionals, and providers about your abilities, needs, and experiences. Telling a story about yourself is an excellent way to highlight the things that you do well and that you enjoy. Your story can also be used to promote your thoughts and feelings about a particular issue. For example, as you will see later in a story told by Mike from Trenton, Missouri, he used his story to talk about why he wanted the Missouri state government to remove the R word from all department titles and legal documents. Lastly, your story can be used to influence systems or policies at the local, state, and national levels. For example, you can use your story to share a real-world experience on how a system is working or not working. You can use your story as a way to suggest ideas for improving services. You can show how a policy is affecting your life or your friends' lives. Including these themes in your story has the potential to impact service systems and policies and make things better for yourself and others. With that, it is now time to take a break from the presentation for 5 to 10 minutes and spend some time going through the first worksheet. The purpose of this worksheet is to help you think about who do you want to tell your story to, or who is your audience? What do you want to accomplish with your story? For example, do you want to help others? Do you want to improve your own situation? Or do you want to influence or change service systems or policies with your story? When you have finished going through the worksheet and talking with others in your group about your plans, please return to the second half of the training and we will talk about the elements or parts of a well-told story.